Welcome to the Dynasty Playbook. I know we're a little bit late this week, but surprise, my janked up grill fell apart even more, so talking's been hard. But we're back with another week, even though it's late, whatever. And we're gonna oh my
Woo!
god, that was so loud.
Yes, we are back, baby. Let's
Oh,
go.
just gave me a little mini heart attack. That was terrible.
Is your nose going to start bleeding again?
God, I hope not. That would be so frustrating. But I guess we're gonna do a lot of talk about what current Dynasty ADP looks like besides gross, but more like specific examples of where things seem fucky. So I just wanted to make the quick comment that I'm doing one of these startup mock drafts for Ryan McDowell, and I mean I wasn't planning on doing it, but I kind of just got suckered in. He asked it on Twitter, and I'm like, oh help, I'll come to the rescue. That dumb shit. But so I'm doing it, and I end up with the 104. I take Mike Evans at 104. That's a slam dunk pick for me. And Ryan tweeted something about it the other night that the top 4 picks of every draft were in some order: DJ, Zeke, OBJ, and Evans. And I can't even really argue with that. I put Antonio locked in at like that 5th spot because I think there's a tier break after him. But then there's like another 10 players where it's just they're all kind of really good. And then there's a massive teardrop right around that 15 mark. And after that is horrible. I didn't know I could despise drafting Des Bryant at 208 as much as I do, but it felt so dirty. And I was looking at like Jordan Howard and stuff. I would just advise completely staying out of startups this year. There's still a lot of startup season left. Normally, we're just the weirdos doing them early. I would stay out of startups this year at really whatever it takes, because there is not good value to be had. There's so many weird timeshares that we're having to wait to see how they resolve. You got Martavis Bryant right now as a top in the top 5 rounds in ADP, and we don't even know if he's reinstated yet, do we?
No, I think he got his reinstatement, but it's like that's the last we heard of it,
Yeah. I'd have to check the news on that real quick. But, and then there's other players that are falling just way down the board that I don't understand. You got Eric Ebron outside of the top 100, and I don't know what
That's
tight
just
end that
not
is.
fair.
Yeah, there's no reason for that. He should be, top 80. I feel like that's about fair. That's probably about where he should stand, but tight ends might be devalued altogether.
Well, here's something I noticed too.
He's the tight end 12 after Ingram and Njoku. That's dumb. That's dumb as fuck.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to not join any startups this year. I had one auction startup, but it's just a completely different kind of setup. If anyone's familiar with the kitchen sink leagues, it's different. So I'm not even going to like use that as an approach. But I think you're having a hard time too. And a lot of dynasty players in general who are chasing these youthful players. We're seeing a lot of these guys in these same tiers. They're at least 26 or older, 27, 28. And it's hard to invest. Some people have a hard time investing a top 2-round pick on one of these guys. So, a lot of the ageists need to kind of swallow their pride sometime and realize they can't be passing on someone like T.Y. Hilton for, a Melvin Gordon. It really depends on your league setup. If you're needing running backs, you have point per carry, but it's just that sense of things. I think age is playing a factor. These guys are getting older and they're kind of hitting this veteran status, and it kind of, turns people off a little bit.
Yeah, I'm notorious as being one of the ageists. And I think T.Y. Hilton's a weird value right now. I know you brought him up. But for me, Ty is not an age thing. It's just, it's a personal thing where I'm uncomfortable with him. I don't know what it is, but I've already started coming off the ages thing. I started on it with LaShawn McCoy way back in the day, where I was anti-Shady for a couple years. And then last year, he turned out good for me, and I realized I've been being kind of stupid.
Yeah, you need a little bit of balance, man. You need the guys who are already scoring a shitload of points and sprinkle in a lot of those young guys who are going to be scoring just as many points when that person starts trailing off. So you need to have that safe rotation. You got to be kind of in the game every year. I know it's real fancy sometimes to go completely young, tank your first year, get some high picks, but it never seems like it works completely. It's really hard because there's so many people doing that, every year. So you're competing against players who are drafting the same way, and you're always kind of stuck there in like third, fourth, fifth place, and you're stuck in this shitty rotation. It's you got to kind of from the start in these startups get a healthy balance of older guys who are still scoring a shitload of points and younger guys who have an immediate opportunity and who can peak in like 2 years.
Yeah, I think I haven't become entirely okay with the risk, or I guess going away from the risk, because the veterans are the safe play. But I'm still extremely hesitant on like Frank Gore, and even Frank Gore for the last 2 years wouldn't touch him because of the age. But I'm getting to the point now where I still hold a great deal of value on the 28, the 29, the 30-year-olds. The guys I'm normally shipping off, don't want to wait, don't want to hold that ticking time bomb.
And not to mention, later in the season when it's not working out, you can flip these same guys for like a future first-round pick, because the teams that are in it to win it are desperate. They don't need their picks. They want a nice payout at the end of the year. So it's always nice having those pieces if it doesn't work out for you, because then you can kind of change course without going too crazy and just move like one player, gain another first, or someone like Frank Gore. I mean, probably not a first, but you can at least get a second. You know what I mean? Someone that's desperate needs that starting running back who's getting carries.
I think that's going to be hit or miss based on the league, but overall, I mean, it's a good theory, and I've found that you have to be a lot more careful in who you're taking in these. You want the steady eddies, the guys who are going to be producers, who are going to maintain value, who you can either ship off for more value, for other pieces, whatever, or you can hold on to and just kind of hope the team develops around it. But you can't have an entire team of just risk. You want to balance it out, because I've played the teams where you do full risk. Everything's a rookie. Everything's who knows if he's going to start, but if he hits, he's huge. I've had it where almost everything just blows up in my face, and I can't save that roster for shit. It's bad. And this is, 2 years. This is only 2 years in, and it's already like clearly shit has gone wrong.
Yeah, when you got like Laquan Treadwell and Tyler Boyd and Leonte Carew kind of rocking your roster right now as your top 3 wide receivers, what the fuck are you gonna do about that right now, right?
It's funny. I actually wrote down all of their names on the ADP thing as points of interest, not necessarily for or against, particular ones. Treadwell at 133. That's fucking stupid. That's dumb as shit. He didn't take any snaps, anything at all. Didn't get targets. He's horrible. And he gets a couple of good news blurbs, and all of a sudden he's a top 150 pick over somebody.
With age though too,
Yeah, but it's still.
No, I'm totally off board. He is off my radar. He shouldn't even be in the top 200. No doubt about it. But there's just people you're like, well, wait, there's going to be a chance for him. If it's not this year, it could be next year. It could be the year after. It could be the year after. But you're just stuck with this roster clogger and someone who's holding no value. You're just waiting for something to happen. And more times than not, it's not happening. And that's what people need to realize. No, yep. More times than not, it doesn't work out.
Yeah, this is probably the earliest I've ever felt comfortable cutting bait on a wide receiver who could have been good. Like, I'm not talking like Tavon Austin type of things, because when Tavon Austin went, 8th overall, we all looked at each other and went, that's fucking dumb. Like, like we all knew exactly how dumb it was, and we weren't gonna fight. We weren't gonna take the bait. But
I'm feeling the same way about Mike Williams, man. Everyone's so into that draft capital, and the dude's just gonna be like a possession wide receiver. He's slow as fuck. I mean, at most, he's gonna be a red zone threat. But look how many red zone like targets they have there in Los Angeles. They got guys who work really well in the red zone, and if that's Mike Williams's like best asset, he's never gonna gain separation. It's always gonna be like a jump ball kind of situation. So I see very similar like red flags with Mike Williams.
And it's funny because I say the same thing about John Ross. John Ross is my Tavon Austin this year. And ironically enough, they're both speed guys, but
they're decoys. And that's
exactly
how Cincinnati's going to utilize them. It's benefits AJ Green. It benefits 28-year-old AJ Green. So
and Tyler Eifert.
That's what I'm saying. So I mean, you got a guy now who's just going to burn the field. I mean, we saw Will Fuller, Philip Dorsett, similar kind of players.
Djax has done it for years.
Yeah, I mean, sure, they're going to have their couple moments of glory, but are you going to bank on 4 to 6 touchdowns a season in hit or miss situations? It's really tough to rely on that. No doubt about it. I'm with you on John Ross too. People need to realize that him and Mike Williams, even though they were first round wide receivers, their situations make them nearly untouchable at their price range. You know what I mean?
This to me is one of those situations where draft pedigree isn't wrong, but we can't apply it. This John Ross to me is not a player that translates perfectly into fantasy football. He's a guy that doesn't the puzzle piece doesn't match. And so, yeah, he may have been a first round pick because he's going to bring first round results to a team, but until we have, routes run as a scoring piece or amount of times they drew the coverage until you figure out how to score that, you've got nothing with guys like John Ross. Djax is one of the few exceptions where he's even been close to really fantasy viable. And it's been like, I mean, how many deep threats honestly ever turn into real fantasy options? I guess T.Y. Hilton, besides T.Y. Hilton, who he's kind of weird, does it all stuff.
I mean, he got so many deep passes last year, and he's so efficient in scoring them. I think over 30% of his fantasy points last year were from passes thrown over 20 yards. I mean, T.Y. Hilton can do it all. But I think you bring up a great point with how a lot of these burners are, they're not really relevant, and they are great picks for their football team. They're going to be great assets to their football teams, but they're not going to be great assets to your fantasy teams, not for the price you have to pay for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And fuck, I lost my train of thought. That sucks. Oh, a perfect example. Not a perfect example, but I think the best example of somebody being fantasy viable while being that deep threat was Mike Wallace years and years ago. And even then, how relevant really was he? I don't know that he ever broke 1,000 yards.
I actually don't know that. He may have like a real low 1,000.
Yeah, low 1,000, probably under 1,100. I couldn't tell you exactly, but that's probably the right area. But we brought up the Rams earlier, and I wanted to bring up another guy whose ADP seemed off to me was Robert Woods is 188th overall. Robert Woods ended up being the number one targeted receiver in that offense kind of pretty easily. There's nobody out there that's, surefire going to kill each other, despite what some people want to say about Copper Coop or however you say his name. I'm not saying that Woods is the locked-in choice, but I think there's enough reason to think he might be the choice I'm picking up way before 188 overall.
No, he absolutely could be. I mean, we don't really know what Sean McVay is going to do there in Los Angeles. I think we have an idea. It's still going to be the Todd Gurley show. But Tavon Austin and Cooper Kupp are going before Robert Woods in startups per, May 2017's ADP on DLF. And then you have guys like Gerald Everett who are just going just a few picks later at 191. So I don't think a lot of people are entirely sure of what's going to be going on. I think a lot more people are on board that Cooper Kupp's going to get a lot of volume right away. And I think that's why they feel it's safer because it seems like his situation is more locked in. And then you have guys like Tavon Austin and Robert Woods. You're like, how are they really going to work out, with Sean McVay's system? Especially when you're going to run the ball a whole bunch. But then when you have garbage time, Robert Woods could be a viable asset. Then again, how many times on your fantasy team are you going to be starting a Rams wide receiver in the first place? So a lot of these players are probably getting faded just because it's Los Angeles. You know what I mean?
I'm going to wait and make that determination on whether that offense is completely worthless until I see it on the field. And I'm gonna point out, another one of those scenarios where you can make the stats say whatever you want. And in this case, you can make the ADP say whatever you want. You take it as saying, Kupp's going higher than Woods. Woods seems to have him, or Kupp seems to have a more locked-in job. And
Because
Woods,
he does.
I completely disagree with that. They paid Woods decent money to come over here. And I think the reason Kupp has a higher ADP is because he's a rookie. And that's sexy and that's shiny and we all like it. And he has all this more potential. Things could turn out so much better. Where a lot of people are jaded. They saw Robert Woods in Buffalo. There's a lot of us who are huge Robert Woods fans coming out of USC all them years ago. Tyler and I were both Woods guys. And now, it's biased for us because we see him getting a potential real opportunity. And we're kind of excited to see him, maybe do what we hoped he was going to do fucking 2013.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt. And also the fact that Robert Woods is still 25 years old should, at least be palatable to a lot of dynasty drafters. And I think Robert Woods still has that Buffalo stank on him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like everyone gets like a little bit of stank put on them when they're stuck in that Rex Ryan era. So I don't know. It just comes with the territory, and the fact that he moves when the players move teams, especially when they come from a bad team and go to a similarly kind of not so efficient team. There's a lot of caution being thrown in their faces, and they'd probably rather take a guy like I don't know who's going a little bit before him. Let's see here. I mean, it's really sloppy in that area. We're talking like Julius Thomas, Devin Funchess, James White, Charles Sims, a lot of these guys. So it seems like they're all stuck in the same tier. So yeah, I think Robert Woods should definitely probably be going a lot earlier. I'm not sure which wide receiver he's going as, but it definitely looks like it's at least wide receiver 4 or 5.
Yeah. Another guy that stuck out to me, I guess since you brought him up, I might as well. Leonte Carroo is 231 overall. That's almost undrafted in a 24-round draft, I believe it is. Mm-hmm. Maybe 28. Almost undrafted, which that seems crazy to me when Devontae Parker, who is a sneaky buy low, if he blows up, he's, we saw what his potential value could be, and we see how breakable that second round tier is right now. Parker could easily slip back into that, but what if he doesn't? What if Carroo ends up being the second guy there? What if Carroo ends up starting to see some value? And I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not even saying it's likely to happen. But at 231, that's probably 100. That's probably 50, 60, 70 picks later than I would take him.
That comes with the fact that the Miami Dolphins ran the fewest plays last year, and it was by such a wide margin. So there's very few scoring opportunities. There's very few target numbers going around in Miami. And when you have people like Jarvis Landry, who's a target hog, and you have Devontae Parker, who we know is just a great athlete, we're just waiting for it to happen. And then they add, Julius Thomas there, who can still definitely have some relevancy. It's hard to buy into Leonte Carroo.
I mean, I can totally understand that, and I'm not. Shit. Lost my train of thought.
So, Drew, what is causing you to lose your train of thought?
Relevancy is not a word. Normally I would have just yelled that at Tyler, but relevancy is not a word. Relevance Relevance is
Did
the
I,
word.
did I say relevancy again?
You do it every week. You actually corrected me one week and told me it was relevancy. And that's why I'm on
Incorrectly
Witch Hunt
corrected you.
now.
I don't care.
Unacceptable.
It's in my my awesome vocabulary.
And I'm going to correct it every time until it's not.
That's fair. We'll see how long it takes.
We'll see if I can Pavlov's dog it. But back to Carew. You say they ran the least amount of plays by a wide margin. That, to me, screams regression. You know, say we have another, say they regress even to, like, right at the bottom, right where near everybody else is. If it wasn't close, that's still a huge increase in plays. They didn't really, besides Julius Thomas, they haven't added any new weapons this year. And like I said, this could easily be Parker and keep Carew being completely irrelevant. But at 231, that's a price I'm gambling on every time because that has the potential to be, 50, 60 overall in a year.
Are you a fan of Ryan Tannehill?
Yeah. And I don't even know if I'm a fan of Ryan Tannehill anymore. I guess I'm just stubborn and I'm going down with the ship. I've quit on enough players. I quit on TJ Yeldon, and I'm sticking to Tannehill. I think there's something there because I'm crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot there, including his inefficiency under pressure. I mean, sure. I mean, people will throw out the fact that he had over 100 quarterback rating under pressure, but the dude also threw like double-digit interceptions and 1 touchdown in situations under pressure.
So, I don't do so good under pressure either. Does that make me a bad person?
I get paid multi-million dollars, but the fact is Ryan Tannehill is going as quarterback 22 per May ADP, and I think he's going to probably stick around that. So if you're looking for like really, really late round quarterback assets, Ryan Tannehill, he could still bring you value. He could. He's got decent weapons out there. He's got a running game. It's just, I don't know. There's a lot of problems there in Miami, and the fact that they don't run enough plays because they have that slow tempo and they're trying to rely on their defense that they still need to work on a lot as well. And their offensive line, there's just a lot of holes, but you don't see holes with their wide receivers. They have talent. They just can't make it work with their quarterback, especially when he can't work under pressure because of that lousy offensive line.
All right, we'll leave that at that. Another guy I got, because I got a bunch of guys and Waz doesn't yet unless he does. But I got Shane Vereen at 253, and I can hear Tyler groaning already because he and I rode this roller coaster quite a few times, and every time we get suckered back in, I've been buying into Shane Vereen since 2013, 2014 maybe. Every year it's, look at this athletic profile, look at this opportunity. He's only got to beat out Paul Perkins. He can do that.
Right? Yeah.
And he's still, 27, 28. And he's probably got some tread left on the tires. At 253, that's an insurance play I'm all about. Because Paul Perkins is a 6th round pick. And I liked Paul Perkins. But I'm not going to say he's going to be, a workhorse running back. That's a little dumb.
That's a little far-fetched for sure. I wanted to get into Shane Vereen last year, especially, Tom Coughlin left. I was like, oh, great. There goes the guy that I felt didn't know how to properly utilize Shane Vereen. And then last year is like, wow, they're still not using him properly. What's going on there in New York? And Eli Manning just wants to throw the football a million times a game. So it doesn't seem like they wanted to devote enough to the run game. They didn't even draft a guy worthy enough, for consideration. You got Paul Perkins and Shane Vereen and whoever that other guy is. It's crossing my mind right now. But yeah, I mean, Shane Vereen should have relevance, and for that price, he's absolutely worth the stash. I would stash him because you're right. He does have tread on tires. I would hope he does. He really hasn't done much since New England, And
even then, he wasn't getting huge volume in New England. And I think part of the reason they don't know how to utilize Vereen properly is because it looks like their head coach brings all his plays to work in a lunchbox, like a plastic character lunchbox from school with him every day. They're drawn up in crayon. That's what Ben McAdoo looks like to me. Like he still draws a lot with crayon.
I still draw with crayon, you know?
I mean, I guess the only
I like to stick all my crayons on like a canvas and then melt them. It makes this really cool art. I saw it on Pinterest.
I like the red ones. They taste pretty good.
The red ones definitely taste better than the orange ones. You got to make sure you
Right.
get the off. You got to make sure you get the off-brand ones, though.
Right, the ones with the lead in them from Mexico.
Right? It's the only way you get a good feeling about it.
I don't know, man. They come up with some pretty interesting flavors coming out of this Crayola factory. We used to go on deployment. We'd spread them around and make sure everybody got theirs.
Purple.
Not going there. But you got any other ADP guys for me?
Man, I didn't come prepared. I just wanted to kind of talk shit on every single guy that you mentioned, and or just kind of like a supporting point. I think it works out pretty well. I don't feel like, maybe throwing too many guys out because it is only May's ADP. I'm really looking forward to seeing how it turns out come June and July, because I think we're going to see a lot more shift in balance once we start seeing what's going on in these OTAs and a lot more of these training camps, and just try to get an idea how these rosters and these lineups are looking for the depth charts for the respective teams. I think it matters so much because once we start getting those locked in, guys start moving up and down so fast, and we see it every year. So
Yeah.
it's really tough to do a startup this early, but we all do it, and it's just something you have to deal with. But you have to anticipate things so much. So, but don't live by May's ADP because a lot of guys, like you mentioned, are just out of place, just way too low. Like, what are you doing?
Right. And another one, we were talking about that age balance earlier, and I don't know if I got a chance to bring him up, but Jeremy Maclin is going like right around pick 100, if I'm not mistaken. And you guys have never heard me say a nice word about Jeremy Maclin. When I said he was going to Kansas City, when we did that episode, I talked all sorts of shit. Yeah, he's 104th overall. And at that value, at that position, you can't not take him. He can't be going under Ty Montgomery and Cameron Meredith and
I know Cameron Meredith just kind of busted up his thumb, dude, but Cameron Meredith is a baller, dude. I love everything about Cameron Meredith.
I'm not sold. I'm still on the Kevin White train.
All right. But then you have Tyreek Hill, who I have been trying to pound the table for, but I get it. He was so reliant on scoring 4 different ways last year, and we're not sure if he's going to be able to work in a traditional wide receiver role, if he's going to be doing a lot more, because that's going to hold more value. But we saw Jeremy Maclin trail off so much, especially when Tyreek started getting fired up about it. I know he got more targets and receiving yards there in the last few weeks after he came back off of injury, but he didn't look himself, and maybe he did need some time to recover after the injury. Maybe he needs another whole offseason. But I'm on the Tyreek Hill train, and I think Tyreek is still going low. He's going 51st overall. Oh, that's not really low anymore. But
that's high.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's not, because everybody else is garbage. I'm comparing him to Golden Tate, who's a perennial disappointment, Kelvin Benjamin, who's fat, Crabtree, who's getting old, Doxson, who still hasn't done anything.
Golden Tate's going to go off this year.
You know what? Brady said so.
Yeah. No, I'm actually on board with Golden Tate this year. It's just hard. It is hard to invest in those kind of guys when you see guys like Jeremy Maclin going 40, 50 picks later,
Yeah. I think I think Golden Tate's a good buy every year, and I'm going to continue to stick with that. Until they get another weapon that isn't Golden Tate or Eric Ebron, I'm going to go ahead and continue to say that I think Golden Tate's going to be the guy.
Marvin Jones, man.
You know what?
It's weird.
And you know how many Marvin Jones shares I own? Especially last year, like in the NFL 10s, I was all over some Marvin Jones shares. But
and he's going 20 picks after Jeremy Maclin.
I know, that's
And you know the kind of volume that Matthew Stafford's going to throw out there.
Oh, yeah. Matthew Stafford's the only quarterback in the NFL that I think on any year is really a contender to hit that 5,000-yard mark besides Drew Brees. Eli did it. It was a fluke. Ben's gotten close. I can see Ben doing it. But, Rodgers and Brady are too, they're too conservative with the ball, I guess. Whereas I can see it. What's that?
When you got guys like Amir Abdullah, Zach Zenner, and Dwayne Washington as your running backs, you're not going to rely on it too heavily. I mean, he just wants to throw the football. He still pretends that Calvin Johnson's out there. It looks like he's out there somewhere. I'm just going to throw the ball up.
Dude, he looks so much better since Calvin's left. He doesn't.
Well, since Calvin was actually starting to fall off, he does look like he's more of a traditional quarterback because he's utilizing other players in the passing game now.
I don't think it had to do with Johnson even trailing off. I think even when Johnson was at his prime, it didn't make Stafford a better quarterback. I think it just masked some of his weaknesses because he was able to throw whatever to Calvin and he'd catch it. And then he'd take it for a touchdown.
I do take that back a little bit too because he didn't really trail off. I think it was just I don't know. It
was the injuries caught up with him.
Yeah, and then he was just always trying to recover from it. So I don't think his level of play ever really dropped off or his performance. It just seems like he trailed off because all of a sudden he's like, poof, he's gone. It was weird.
Right. And then Stafford's one of those guys where he spent the first 4, 5, 6 years of his career just every game thinking, if I throw it to Calvin, good things will probably happen. So I'm going to hone in on Calvin on every play. But now that he's not there, he's forced to develop into this quarterback that legitimately makes reads. And he's perfectly capable of doing it. He just never did it. He never had any reason to. He's like, why? Why would I throw it to this dickhead over here when I can throw it to Calvin fucking Johnson? I wouldn't throw it to the other guy either. I'd throw it to Calvin Johnson every single time. He's got a pretty good track record. But pretty much that was a long, complicated way of saying Stafford's pretty good, and he's going to stay pretty good. And he's undervalued. Yeah.
Yep. Just like Golden Tate will always be.
Well, the difference between Golden Tate and Matthew Stafford is Matt Stafford's has been really fantasy relevant before, and we're still waiting on that Golden Tate thing. I'm curious what Tate's best fantasy season was. Like wide receiver what? I'm gonna look it up and I'm gonna edit out this dead air. There's like one person listening. They get to listen to me look up
I think it's
wide receiver stats. What's that?
Let me see real quick. I think it's Crab. I'm going on FF today. They have a really good setup there. I don't know if you've used it.
No, I have no idea what anything is. I'm just using MFL.
All right. No, don't do that. Hold on one second.
He was wide receiver 21 this past year. That wasn't bad. Still not wide receiver 1 numbers, but... $22 the year before. So, yeah, he's a wide receiver 2. He's a low-end wide receiver 2.
What were his numbers?
I already closed it.
All right. Good. All right, cool.
Not that special. Like 220 points, I think. Like, very usable, not flashy at all. Not that interesting. But kind of guys you got to have sometimes. Mm-hmm. But I guess we can go ahead and move on to our submitted questions for the week. We got our first one coming from @DannyTage. Can we get your opinions on Jags receivers not named Allen Robinson? And I will say I was originally a huge Marquise Lee hater. Not really anymore. I don't dislike Allen Hurns. I think they're both extremely talented wide receivers, but now that Hurns is going to be healthy, it's going to be more of a competition. I don't think there's going to be a clear, second or third option. I think they're going to see around the same amount of targets overall. And I think they're both going to suffer not only from splitting the targets, but I think the passing volume of the offense is going to go down altogether. You don't pick up, you don't spend a 4th overall pick on Leonard Fournette and then continue to throw the ball as much as they did. You're running the ball. So they've got less targets, and it's going to be a heftier split after A-Rob. So I'm not really all that interested in either of them, at least for this year. But I don't dislike the player. I dislike the situation.
Who do you like more, Allen Hurns or Marquise Lee this year? And maybe for Dynasty, I don't care. It doesn't really matter. It's same kind of value.
I think Hurns is the better player, but I think Lee's going to be the better fantasy play. I think Hurns is more traditionally in that kind of torture, the guy making the long plays. But I think he's more fit for that role, whereas Marquise Lee is a better just a possession receiver, and he's going to get enough targets to be usable. If they had the same passing volume again this year, I'd be comfortable rolling out Marquise Lee as like a 3.
I actually am a little I have different opinion about that. I actually think Marquise Lee is the better football player. He's the better athlete, and I think we've known that for a few years. He rode out his injuries for 2 years. But I do believe it's going to be Allen Hurns more than Marquise Lee in the offense. Like, he is going to be a better fit. And I do believe that Allen Hurns is probably going to have a better statistical output for fantasy purposes. And even though they have an established run game, so that will kind of limit the amount of times that Blake Bortles throws that football, there are still going to be a lot of moments of garbage time. And when it's not going to work for Allen Robinson, it's going to go for a big guy like Allen Hurns. You're going to see, I believe, a lot of that volume come in that fourth quarter again. But you can't really value a guy off of fourth quarter garbage time. It's just kind of, it's like a gift when it happens. It's something to keep in the back of your mind when you're kind of splitting hairs between Allen Hurns and Marquise Lee. But I like Hurns a little bit more, and I don't think he's going to get close to the numbers he had 2 years ago. I think that was an outlier. I think it's going to be his career year. But I also don't think that Marquise Lee is going to be as efficient as he was last year when he had the football in his hands. So it's kind of a wash. They're both kind of meh. So I know what Danny's kind of saying. Is there anyone worth the damn after Allen Robinson? Probably not. But if I had to choose between the two, it's probably Allen Hurns over Marquise Lee.
Yeah, I disagree there, but I think we're also making the dangerous assumption that with new coaching, nothing changes. I think they have an extremely talented young defense that could keep these games from being, halfway garbage time. And this is another one where I'm not betting on it, but I'm thinking it's a very real possibility. They have a lot of really strong pieces on that defense, and there's no reason they shouldn't have been good last year. And I think that has to boil down purely to coaching, and with a new DC, I think that brings some exciting possibilities.
No doubt.
Yeah. So I guess we'll hit up our next question. It comes from @BigPerm3313. Now, we're going to take it back a little bit. This was probably a year ago. We had to discuss what candy we thought Tyler was, what we thought I was, and what we thought Breeze was when Breeze was visiting the show. Or he might have just been messaging. And I decided that Breeze was dark chocolate because he's bitter and no one likes him. And I was a warhead or a lemon head.
I love dark chocolate.
Yeah, of fucking course you do. But we decided that I was like a warhead, that I'm really, really abrasive at the beginning. But once you learn how to handle me, pretty excellent. And I don't remember what I was or what Tyler was. It wasn't very good. It wasn't nearly as clever as the other ones. But
like Tyler.
I had a lot of familiarity. I had a lot of chat time with Tyler and with Breeze before I came up with these. So I had thorough knowledge of who they were. And, we conversate on Voxer a good deal, but I knew who Breeze was on the inside from Voxer, whereas I can't say that about you just yet. So I reflected that in my choice. They wanted to know what candy Waz would be. And I decided Waz would be a Kinder Egg. Because
hell yeah.
he seems sweet and awesome, but we have yet to break him and see what the real surprise is on the inside.
I mean, if you wanna come figure out what's inside of me, Drew, you can come over here and figure it out.
Oh,
because it's usually pretty exciting when you open it up.
All right, I lost my train of thought. I guess there wasn't any more.
Too.
But I mean, you were wrong though. Conversate is 100% a word.
All right, I need you to look it up right now.
I'm going to do it, and I'm going to be right. Conversate is a verb to engage in conversation.
Where are you getting this? Urban Dictionary?
Come on, switch over, damn it. Dictionary.com seems to be a pretty reliable source.
No, I mean, even when you type the word conversate, it even comes up like all red squiggly lines because it's incorrect.
That's probably because it's your computer, and your computer can only be as smart as you are. I don't have a red squiggly line under conversate on mine.
We actually probably should put this on Twitter. We just need to ask the people, is conversate a word? And I think there's going to be a lot of smart people out there, or dumb people, if they agree with you. Why or why not conversate is or isn't a word?
Wait. So they're dumb if they have an expanded vocabulary, but if they think you just make up words on the spot, then you're an idiot. That makes perfect sense. That's going out on the poll now, and we're gonna refresh it for like 3 days so everyone that listens to the show can tell you how wrong you are.
It's all right.
It is all right. See, there's a surprise. Waz doesn't know words. So, our next question comes from @DynastyBurner. What would your rookie ranks look like in a 1 PPR 0.3 point per carry league? And I'm going to be honest, that's pretty much what I base my normal rankings on, is I assume 1/4 point per carry. So that's, the running backs are worth a hair more, but it's not something I'm making a big difference out of. But my top guys are still Fournette and McCaffrey, and then I'm taking Davis and Cook and Mixon. That's what my top of my thing looks like. And then after that, it's gross and it's all nasty. But I like a lot of the running backs in this class, and they're going to get a serious boost with the 1/4 point per carry.
I really like the running backs in this class, too. It's absolutely Leonard Fournette, 101, in my opinion. You have Christian McCaffrey. I think he works at 2 or 3, anything like that. Mixon as well. Not high on Cook. We've been over this, so we're not going to get into it anymore. I really like Samaje Perine. I really do. He's going to come out year 1, and he's going to get a ton of carries there in Washington. So if you're getting 0.3 points per carry, I think that's money.
I don't know if you saw this, but there have already been news blurbs of Kareem Hunt impressing at camp, making his presence known.
Oh, imagine that. A positive story about rookies in the offseason.
Hey, shut up.
Yeah, but I think it's pretty standard. I don't know how deep he wants us to get, because there are a lot of guys I'm higher on later in the round. I would more prefer to trade down the 102 or the 103, 104, 105, move down to like the late of the first, early second, get a whole bunch of picks and start picking up guys like, Samaje Perine and Curtis Samuel and even someone like Cooper Kupp. You know what I mean? Because I think there's value there, and you can get them late. So I really like trading down if you have the opportunity to, because that late first, early second, if you can accumulate a whole bunch of picks there instead of just taking one guy, like if you're uncertain about someone like Dalvin Cook or Samaje Perine, or if you have any doubts on Joe Mixon, get 2 for 1 picks and kind of press your luck and get more darts to throw and see which one hits.
For me, I'm holding on to top 5 picks. Unless somebody's coming up with a king's ransom, I'm holding on to those top 5 picks. But after that, when you're in that O.J. Howard, Mike Williams type of tier, I'm absolutely looking to trade down. I'm looking to pick up the Hunt, the Perrine. If one of the first round tight ends falls, I might be looking at him. But Curtis Samuel's another good one. Kamara if he falls.
Deontay Foreman, Zay Jones.
Yeah.
Like if I can get more of those kind of guys for, the 103, I'm definitely going to take it because I think these guys together are much, much better than just that one guy. I don't think they're all worth their value right now. And I know a lot of more guys are willing to pay a shitload to get one of those guys. I'm not talking about Fournette. Don't trade out of Fournette's pick, especially in that kind of league. Don't trade
Or
McCaffrey.
McCaffrey.
Yeah. But I mean, all the other guys, I think there's a case that can be made if you're willing to move down just a little bit and get one or two extra picks on top of the pick that you just lost. It's probably worth it because after you get past like the mid second or late second, it's just these are mostly guys that more than likely are not going to work out.
To me, I look at Cook and Mixon both as guys that can really be workhorse running backs. I could see them getting the 280 to 300 carries a season, and a quarter point per carry. That alone is huge. I don't care if you disagree. Latavius Murray is trash.
It's not a case for Latavius Murray. It's not a case for Jerick McKinnon. It's a case against Dalvin Cook.
Yeah, and that's a dumb case. That's a really that's a dumb case. This is not.
I just can't wait to revisit this year because this offseason, it seems like I disagreed on so much more than the last few years. So I'm really looking forward to next year. Either I'm going to be here happy or I'm going to kill myself.
That's extreme.
Yeah, that's probably not cool to say. So you might have to scratch that.
I'm probably gonna get that for you. I have those moments too.
Or I'm gonna be crying.
You're gonna end up crying. That's how you're gonna react. Fuck. I lost my train of thought. Oh, I can't believe that Dalvin Cook is my flag plant guy for this year. I thought that was such a gimme decision, especially when I'm not even pushing the issue of him being the fourth overall guy, because I feel like that's locked in at this point that he's fourth or fifth. But I can understand that you're arguing Joe Mixon, but Cook outside of the top five to me is ridiculous. Cook, I mean, I said it. I had Cook over McCaffrey for forever and ever, and I don't.
And I get that. And the fact that I don't agree with Cook in the top five gives me more of a reason. And I can't be the only one. It makes perfect sense for those guys that believe in him so much to trade out of that pick if you don't like him and get 2 to 3 extra guys.
Yeah, but if you don't like him, you're already making mistakes.
Mistakes have already been made, man.
Yeah. Well, I guess we can move on to Dynasty Burner's follow-up question, which I was super excited about. Oreo O's are coming back. He wants to know, am I flaccid, half chub, or rock hard? No, I'm not even going to try and make Waz put up a front like he knows what Oreo O's are. You heard him earlier. He likes dark chocolate. He's not. This is not his forte. He's kind of a scrub, if we're being completely honest. But when I heard there were Oreo O's, I was not in a normal mind, and I heard about it, and I squealed. I did. I was so excited. Oreos are the shit, and I'm full mast right now, waiting on some Oreo O's.
No, me too, man. I'm actually pretty rock hard about this situation because I can't wait to go into a store and save money because I won't be buying them. And like saving money and having extra money in my pocket just gets me. It just turns me on so much.
You're the worst. That's such a horrible answer, but yet somehow you're about to give me an even more horrible answer, according to Ryan, at least. Our last question comes from Ryan at RL Kenya 80. Serious question. Explain your side. Can
Well, it looks like we lost Drew, or you guys lost me. I have no idea. Trying to figure out what's going on. So I see we're still live. So I get to play the role of Scott Stewart and just be stuck on camera all by myself, all awkward and shit. I'm just gonna drink some beer.
Yay! It worked.
Yeah,
I can't believe I'm the one that crapped out.
Did we lose continuous stream though? Because I had to
We
reset.
didn't.
All right. Oh, all right.
I have no idea how. I flashed out of the chat twice already.
Welcome back.
Indeed. I guess we'll finish up where we left off, and that is our question from Ryan. Do you want Cam Newton or do you want Dak Prescott? This is in what, one quarterback, super flex, 2 QB?
It's actually in a Superflex league.
Okay. So, Waz, are you taking Dak Prescott or Cam Newton straight up in Superflex?
You're busting my balls because I recently made a trade that I knew everyone would not be a fan of, but I wanted to do it. You know, we can't all just play the same fucking cards all the time. Sometimes we got to get our guy and just say, fuck it, and just have fun doing it. So I traded Cam Newton for Dak Prescott straight up in a Superflex league just yesterday. And the thing is, that offer sat out there for like 4 fucking days. I was like, what the hell is going on? But the guy's just kind of inactive, and he was kind of, you know, ignoring all my messages everywhere. So I was like, all right, whatever, man. If you don't want this perfect fucking deal, I know it's a great deal. But here's the thing. It's not that I don't like Cam Newton. He's a badass. He's a great football player. He's a great quarterback for the Panthers. He scores a shitload of fantasy points. But I just started seeing this thing where I saw a big drop off last year. And I know it's just 1 year. We've seen him, what he's capable of, but he became more inefficient. And then he got hurt. He's still recovering from that. And they're trying to, they're talking about moving him into more traditional passer role. Don't want him to run as much. And a lot of that has to do with that. Now they have this hybrid kind of running game, the capabilities of that with Christian McCaffrey and Curtis Samuel. I mean, they're going to work a lot more things in. And I don't like his receivers. I was never a huge fan of Kelvin Benjamin. I sure as hell wasn't a fan of Devin Funchess. I like Curtis Samuel, but I want to see it happen first. But I really like the way that Dak is trending. We saw Dak perform similarly to how Cam did in his rookie year. Very efficient. He has Des Bryant, has a solid offensive line, has Ezekiel Elliott out there. And for dynasty purposes, I think Dak Prescott right now, well, I mean, for the young guys, I'm not saying he's over any of the guys like Luck or Rodgers, but if we're considering guys like Cam Newton or Marcus Mariota, Dak Prescott, and I love Marcus Mariota, there's a few reasons why I like Dak a little bit more for the long haul for dynasty. He's physically thick. He seems stronger, built to last. You know, I think he's a better all-around passer. I think we can see him perform in a really efficient traditional passing role. Unlike that, I'm unsure about, that Cam can do. I don't think Cam can do that. I think working so well as a traditional passer and still being able to use your feet is very effective for not only the NFL, but for fantasy football, especially in dynasty. So, and I think Dallas is smart. I think they're going to build around Dak Prescott within 2 years at least. However long Des Bryant will last, after he goes in 2 to 3 years and they overhaul their wide receiver group and Jason Witten hangs it up. I know it seems like negatives, but I think they're going to build really smart around Dak Prescott and his strengths, especially at such a young age. They know what he's capable of. And I think the sky's the limit for Dak. Everything I saw from him last year, because I went back and I watched a lot of it, and it's the numbers don't lie, and I don't even think they tell the whole story. But Dak Prescott is one hell of a football player, and I think he's going to continue to score a shitload of fantasy points, and I think he's going to get better with age, and that is why I took Dak Prescott over Cam Newton. I just had a gut feeling. I wouldn't do it in every league. I wouldn't tell people you must give Cam Newton up for Dak Prescott, but this is how I felt, and I wanted to take a shot at it. I want to look a few years down the road and be like, oh, that was actually a pretty cool move. I was crazy for thinking about it, but if it doesn't work out, we live and we learn. It's just one trade. It's just one league. But I really like Dak Prescott, and I really like the way that I feel that the Dallas organization is going to build around him over the next 2 to 3 years.
Whenever I first read it, I'm like, how can you take Dak over Cam? And the more that was talked about it, and partly the more I just thought about it, the more I'm kind of on board with his side of the trade, because it's actually less risk averse to me. If you look at what the potential outcomes are with this trade, Dak Prescott was a top 5 quarterback last year. At least he was for quarter point per carry leagues, which is where I base all of my valuations on now, because the rest is dumb, I guess. I don't know. I'm bored with regular scoring offenses. It's not fun anymore. But with fuck, I lost my train of thought. That sucks. So Dak's a top 5 quarterback his rookie year. Same thing Cam Newton was. Your potential scenarios are Dak holds that right around there, that top 5, top 6, however he lands. Cam Newton comes back to what he was. He's hanging out in that top 5 too. Worst case, in that scenario, you broke even and you gained years, which is positive. Say, Dak drops to, edge of QB1 numbers every year, because I think that Dak, especially if they move into playing a little bit more of a traditional passer, his success is going to be highly dependent on whether he can create a better relationship with Dez Bryant, because so much of his production last year came off of Witten and came off of Cole Beasley, and he needs to expand how he's going to approach that offense if he's going to start being more of a pocket passer. But say Dak Prescott goes to being that barely QB1, but Cam never recovers from his drop. You still won in that scenario. Pretty much the only way you lose this is if Dak turns into a pumpkin and Cam goes back to exactly what he used to be. And at this point, I think the possibilities of both of those happening in the same universe is not very likely. So to me, I think trading Cam for Dak is actually the smarter, more conservative play.
If anyone listening is considering doing the same, you can get more out of it.
Yeah.
Like, I was trying to push offers out there for like Cam Newton for Dak in a second, but the guy was super flaky, and I felt like I wasn't getting through to him. So I had to make a brash decision in order to catch his fucking attention. Because it's like, dude, I am sending you a great fucking offer. Why are you ignoring everything? So I was just like, I want to get this done. I got impatient. So maybe that's, bad on me, but I'm still comfortable with it. But I understand that's why I think everyone on Twitter, or the majority of people, are like, wow, you are so stupid for trading that straight up, because they're not anticipating ahead as much as I usually do in Dynasty football. But you can get more than just Dak Prescott for Cam Newton right now. You should be able to, based on how, the majority of people are valuing Cam over Dak. But you're not, I don't think you're going to be terribly off if you do it straight up. If you just feel like making a brash decision once, just have fun with it. Don't get bored with your leagues because you're doing everything the same. Just make this wild move. If it works out, it works out. Whatever.
Yeah. So that's actually our last question.
No. There was one more that came in. This one was submitted by me. All right. So Drew, I know I didn't kind of prepare you for this, but you and Tyler just got done with the Read and React podcast, right? With Bill Layton there and Eric Coleman.
Yeah, Bill Layton. I know that guy. Yeah,
right,
we did the Read and React, and it was a lot of fun.
It was you and those three dudes, right? I mean, you probably got some really good conversation. I did not have a chance to listen to it yet, but I guarantee it was probably a really good show. It was kind of like a reunion for you and Tyler, and then you had Eric Coleman, Bill Layton there. So you guys had a good time. Now, I'm going to give you the standard question here. Out of those three people, Eric Coleman, Tyler Huggins, and Bill Layton, you have to marry one, kill one, and fuck one. Who would you marry? Who would you kill? And who would you fuck?
This is so easy for me. I'm marrying Tyler. That's a swish. That's all day. Tyler and I will get high and play Nintendo all day. We'll be the best married couple ever. There's no way I'm not fucking EC. I'm taking that to the bank. And sorry, Bill, there's got to be one. That was...
All right.
I like how there was...
I think you're stuck because I don't think Tyler's the committing type. And I don't think EC is as easy as you think he is.
Tyler has been with his wife since high school. He's
not
afraid of commitment.
And I don't think Bill's going to let you get one on him. I'm pretty sure he's just going to pound you into the fucking sand.
Then I use range. I don't even think that's the approach of fuck, marry, kill, because I think kill is just supposed to be like one of them goes in a chair and plummets into the pit full of sharks with laser beams attached to their head.
Yeah, I think we kind of set Bill up kind of bad here, especially with your relationship with Tyler and EC. But I was kind of curious of who would you be willing to live the rest of your life with. That's sweet. That's a good show though, man. That's a wrap.
It was. I'm happy with how this one went, minus the technical issues. But other than that, it was a good episode, and I hope you're ready to do some cramming, Waz, because we're getting back on schedule. We can't be, going another week till our next episode. So,
but I like doing things, not this. And man,
that sounds horrible.
I have been working a lot, not as much as some of these other guys on the Pyromaniac draft kit. I know it just takes so much time and so much effort, and it's just hard to commit to just bullshitting sometimes. But I need this. It's very, very welcoming when it actually happens, because I'm like, all right, let's go. And then when I get on camera, I'm like, woohoo!
It's therapeutic.
Yeah, it is. So I'm gonna go. I'm fucking rock hard right now, man. I'm gonna have to go soon.
That's exciting. But I guess we're going to call it a night. You got any last parting shots for us, bud?
No, man. I appreciate it, dude.
All right, guys. This has been the Dynasty Playbook. I've been your host, Drew. You can find me on Twitter at DrewDotsonNFL. With me has been my awesome co-host, Waz, at WazNFL. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again next week.